Let's bring the Village of Mount Pleasant Board meeting to order. It's about 6:05. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Colhagen, call roll, please.
Bhatia.
Here.
Hewitt.
Here.
Clausen.
Here.
Doxey.
Here.
Anastasio.
Here.
Washburn.
Here.
DeGroot.
He's here. So the next item is public comment and input. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments on any matter. Please listen for the president to recognize you. State your name and address for the public record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Does the clerk have anybody? I've got no paperwork from people willing to speak tonight. Anybody from chambers wishing to speak publicly on any matter? Going once, going twice. So we'll close public comment and input. And then the next item we have is a closed session. Would somebody read in that motion, please?
Mr. President, I make a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren E, for deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren G, to confer with legal counsel for the village, who is rendering advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the village board with respect to litigation in which it is involved, specifically consideration of an offer to sell to the village parcel 420 owned by James Mahoney and Kimberly A. Mahoney regarding 10640 South Prairie View Drive, tax key number 151032232015300, and to discuss legal strategies pertaining to Racine County case number 2020CV001098, Slovako M. and Roseanne Grisek, Irrevocable Trust, 7/20/16 versus Village of Mount Pleasant.
Second.
Well done. That was a mouthful. Long motion. So we have a motion and a second for closed session. Roll call, please.
Bhatia.
Aye.
Hewitt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Doxey.
Aye.
Anastasio.
Aye.
Washburn.
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye. The village is in closed session. Figure maybe about All right, so we need a motion to go back into open.
Mr. President, I make a motion to go back into open session. Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So the village is back in open session. We've got a couple items here, and we'll start with the Slavko Grizik one. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to enter a settlement agreement with the Slavko M. and Roseanne Grikic Irrevocable Trust in case number 2020, C as in cat, V as in Victor, 1098, for $62,500 as additional compensation to complete the acquisition of the subject property.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. From the board, is there any questions for Mr. Markowitz? We had spent a little time with this in closed session, or conversely, did you want to just, opine, whatever else you might add?
No, it's just that this motion to add $62,500 of additional just compensation has the recommendation of council.
Excellent. So in the matter of the Slavko and Roseanne Grizik Irrevocable Trust, roll call, please.
Battia,
Aye.
Hewitt,
Aye.
Clausen,
Aye.
Doxy,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
Washburn,
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye. So that motion carries.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
may I move on to move to accept the offer to sell to the village the property located at 10640 South Prairie View Drive, owned by James and Kimberly Mahoney, for $758,200 plus relocation benefits in the amount of $191,800.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second regarding the Mahoney property. Counselor, would you just kind of walk us through the
Yes.
numbers and where they came from and how they came to be?
Okay. What you have before you, ladies and gentlemen, is a copy of a sale and purchase agreement, which has been negotiated over the past month or so by us as your counsel and by counsel for the Mahonies. That sale and purchase agreement includes some language which I want to comment to you. The second whereas paragraph on the first page, and I will quote it, says, whereas the Mount Pleasant Village Board of Trustees utilizes a specific formula to calculate the amount to be paid when purchasing residential properties within tax increment district number 5. The formula is 140% of fair market value as of the date of acquisition, and $50,000 per acre for any extra land, plus statutory relocation benefits, unquote. I want the board to understand that we have followed that formula faithfully in working out this agreement. Here are the numbers that Trustee Washburn referred to. This property was originally valued over 4 years ago by our appraiser at $390,000. According to our appraiser, during the intervening period between then and the present, inflation has caused a 32% increase in the average value, or the average residential value here in the village of Mount Pleasant. That brought the number higher, so application of the formula results in $390,000 of yesterday's value being, because of inflation, $514,800 today, and then being true to the formula, 140% of that brings us to $720,700. The other part of the village formula is to pay $50,000 for extra land. Extra land was determined to be available on this parcel 4 years ago to the tune of 3/4 of an acre or $37,500. If you put the 37.5 together with the 720,700, you get the 758.2. In consultation with our relocation consultant, the relocation benefits have been determined to be $191,800. This property is being purchased in strict accordance with the formula because it represents today's value at 140%, which was done for all other residential properties, and $37,500 for an extra 3/4 of an acre of land, which is equally consistent with all other previous purchases made by the village. And that is why it has the affirmative recommendation of council for consideration by the board. If this is approved by the board and signed by the president and secretary treasurer, closing of this acquisition will occur within a month, and the relocation benefits will be paid if and when the residential building is moved from the property by January of 2023. Any other questions, I'd be happy to answer, but again, we recommend consideration and favorable approval of the pending motion.
Attorney Markowitz, just to put a little bit finer point on what you just said, as we wind the clock back over the years and all of the properties that the village acquired, I remember you saying as you were as the negotiations were going on between various parties all along the way, those that got in early, would ask, are we leaving something on the table by settling with the village, straight away early? Those that were in the middle, would ask the same question, should we be holding out? Mahoney's, obviously, are one of the last folks that we've been able to, reach an agreement with. And the question that comes to people's minds, is, did they benefit by holding out? And I would say no, because of the formula that you just mentioned.
I believe that the Mahoneys are being treated exactly the same as every other property owner who has sold a residential property with extra land to the village of Mount Pleasant ever since this project started.
Any other thoughts? Okay, not hearing any other thoughts regarding the consideration by the Mahoneys to offer to sell to the village their parcel. Roll call, please.
Bhatia?
Aye.
Hewitt?
Aye.
Clausen?
Aye.
Doxey?
Aye.
Anastasio?
Aye.
Washburn?
Aye.
DeGroot?
Aye. That motion carries.
Would you pass this down to Stephanie so she can sign it? Chris will notarize it.
So let's move on. We've got consent agenda, item B.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt the items on the consent agenda.
Second.
I hear a motion, a second on the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Let's move down to item D, community development. Discussion possible motion pertaining to potential development agreement with the Highway 20 and 90th Development LLC pertaining to the Tivoli Green Phase 2 project.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve a development agreement with Highway 20 and 90th Development LLC pertaining to the Tivoli Green Phase 2 project as presented.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Sam, did you want to go into this, just to give us the highlight?
This development agreement is related to the public improvements and developer assistance requested for those. Related to the recently approved Phase 2 of Tivoli Green. That is south and west of the existing Phase 1 and heads westwards towards 90th Street. That development was fully approved by the Plan Commission last Wednesday. This agreement is not to exceed $5.3 million related to the public infrastructure improvements for the project and will be paid utilizing the existing tax increment district number 2.
The developer is here. I will recognize him if anybody has any questions of the developer. If not, we'll let him sit there and sweat.
Mr. President, I just had a comment. I think that I sat through the Plan Commission presentation. Obviously I'm very happy for the success of the project in TID 2. When we talked about it years ago, I was not on the board, I was on the CDA, and we were all very hopeful that it would be successful. And in spite of COVID, and in spite of all the material shortages, you guys got it up and running and open, and it's 100% rented, and you have people living in that community that are working all over Mount Pleasant, including Foxconn, the hospitals, Cree, Incinerator, soon to be Whirlpool. So we really appreciate that project. It's been a great contribution to the community, and we look forward to your bringing on your next phase.
Ram or John, any thoughts?
Yes, Mr. President, I echo what Trustee Washburn has already well said. As a member of the Planning Commission, last 2 Planning Commission meetings, we got detailed information for the success of the Phase 1 project and the plan for the Phase 2. So very pleased and thank you that you chose Mount Pleasant. And I was very pleased to hear from Mark, not this Planning Commission, but the last Planning Commission meeting, that the Phase 1 is 100% occupied. That shows that there's a demand for the housing, and especially the quality housing that they have built here for, so I'm very pleased. And again, thank you for being in Mount Pleasant, and we look forward to even greater success for you and your project in Phase 2.
I also listened to the full Plan Commission the other day, and I was really impressed with them taking so much time. I believe it was like an hour and a half just on the project, and the fact that they've been successful. I think looking back to that first phase, all of the considerations and the changes you made that successful. So I have confidence in this Phase 2.
Well, I'd certainly echo those thoughts as well. It's so nice to have a successful project and that has legs underneath it, and to be able to roll into the next phase of it. It's exciting. Again, it's kind of a new form of housing that we haven't seen around here, and best luck going forward, assuming that we vote to approve. So, in the matter of the Tivoli Green development agreement, roll call, please.
Boccia.
Aye.
Hewitt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Doxy.
Aye.
Anastasio.
Aye.
Washburn.
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye. Motion carries. Good luck going forward. Yeah, so let's move down to item E, item number 1, discussion possible motion to approve 2022 Budget Amendment Resolution 7-2022.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 7-2022, amending the 2022 adopted budget of the Village of Mount Pleasant.
Second.
Your motion and a second. Mr. Mike? Tony, why don't you take care of it?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And this was discussed at the last committee of the whole meeting in July. So every year, as part of our paving program, we go out, we inspect all of our structures, sewers, for defects and look for repairs. As part of this year's program, those repairs are quite extensive. So that, coupled with the awarded contractors' unit prices for those repairs, we need this amendment to make up that shortfall.
I will say too, Mr. President, in discussing it in committee, it was very impressive, the maps that were presented to us to back up the dollar amounts showing, and there, some of this was on this on the overall project, but other was neighborhood, more neighborhood sensitive. But it showed the work that we went through, our staff went through, to televise our system and to look at where repairs are needed. And really, based on the money that we're approving tonight, that money went a long way in solving some underground problems that, while the roads are open, we really do need to take care of it to do it properly. So, to me, money well spent, I guess I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, that's all.
Good. So then in the matter of resolution 7-2022, roll call, please.
Boccia?
Aye.
Hewitt?
Aye.
Clausen?
Aye.
Doxey?
Aye.
Anastasio?
Aye.
Washburn?
Aye.
DeGroot?
Aye, motion carries. Let's move on to discussion, possible motion to award a contract for the DPW Building Number 3 roof replacement.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to award the DPW Building Number 3 roof replacement contract to the low bidder, Carlson Roofing and Sheet Metal, Inc., in the amount of $83,063, plus the cost to replace the roof decking material on a time and material basis if and as needed.
Second.
Motion and a second. Tony?
Yeah, so for those that aren't aware, Building 3 is at the southwest corner of Stewart Road and Old Spring Street. It's been there for many, many years. And for probably the last year and a half at least, the roof has been in a pretty significant state of disrepair. So it's actually blown off during a storm last year, so it's kind of held down in ways it shouldn't be right now. But definitely needs to be done. We had a bid opening for this. We had gotten quotes for this previously last year. The one bid that came in is in line with where we thought we'd be and what the quotes were last year. So we recommend approval so we can get this moving, get it done before the snow flies this year.
So it's time and materials on the roof decking, because I'm assuming once they start pulling off the bungee cords, they're really not sure what they're getting into until they get into it.
That's exactly right.
All right. So in the matter of the DPW Building Number 3 roof replacement, we'll just take a voice vote on that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President.
Excuse me, so let's,
Mr. President, I need to excuse myself for the next item.
okay, so let the record note that trustee Washburn has been excused.
Mr. President, for the next item, I make a motion to approve the Pike River Crossing Final Subdivision Plat Application FSP-01-22.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Back to Sam.
Mr. President, members of the village board, this is a long executive summary that the Plan Commission discussed in length last week, so I'm going to give you the abridged version. The applicant, Bear Development LLC, applied to plat the first phase of a mixed-use neighborhood with 63 moderate-density lots intended for detached houses. Future phases contain the remaining 120 detached house lots, 1 condominium lot with 20 duplex units, 1 multifamily lot, 2 mixed-use lots, and a general business lot. The subject parcels are about 64.6 acres in zone RM2, MX2, and B3. The properties all lie within TID 6. The Chapter 74 subdivision plat application final plat standards apply for this. I'm going to skip through them and just get to the conditions and the fiscal note. In terms of the fiscal note, the parcels lie within TID 6. The subdivider indicated a potential request for assistance from the district, but that requires CDA and village board review of their pro forma and the development agreement. The staff assumed assessments of about $300,000 per unit, and that gives the development a value per acre of about $1.3 million per acre, which is greater than our general target of about $1 million an acre. In terms of the development's ability to pay back its public infrastructure costs, the estimate you see here is pretty high, at 31 to about 23% of its tax allocation for a 20-year period going to its public infrastructure needs. However, that is because this is a phase one, and this phase one is taking up a lot of kind of the expensive public improvements for the project. So that includes the very south end of an extension of Oaks Road. So Oaks Road right now, as you kind of go past the Walmart and Menards, it ends, kind of dead ends into a farm field there. The full regional plans show Oaks Road continuing southwards towards Braun Road and then curving along the Pike River Pathway south of Braun Road and then hitting 31 at a middle that's about halfway between Braun Road and County Trunk Highway KR. So this is building that very south end of that collector-sized roadway, which is a pretty significant improvement to both 31 and the public roadway network. So this is eating essentially a lot of those public improvements in phase one. Phases 2 and 3 we anticipate will kind of balance it out and be overperforming for a total project that balances out, performs pretty well. In terms of staff considerations, the staff view this development as an opportunity for a particular pedestrian-friendly subdivision due to its compact in nature, neighborhood mixed use, adjacent parkland, and adjacent commercial opportunities. Staff in the conditions requested more pedestrian walkability improvements and are working with the applicant to go through those, as well as some stormwater retention features that you wouldn't see in a normal development. The idea is this isn't a tax increment district, so we kind of want to make this an example subdivision, and the applicant's been good to work with on that so far. In terms of conditions for approval, the staff have 21 conditions for approval. Those are discussed at length at the Plan Commission. I'd say probably 2/3 of them are kind of standard conditions for approval that we'd put on a plat, so they need to submit to the Department of Administration being one. There's about 5 kind of staff level approvals for improvements to the actual plat itself, including some of those pedestrian and stormwater issues that I've already brought up. The applicant's already started to work on those. And additionally, they're already working on, we just received their traffic impact analysis today in terms of what will be required to the 31 intersection. So the applicant, even before your approval tonight, is already working to check off some of these conditions on the list. So with that, both the village staff and the Plan Commission recommend approval of FSP 0122.
And the applicant is among us?
The applicant is among us if you have any questions for him.
Did anybody wish to speak to the applicant? Because, yeah, I'd like to recognize you, just to give some of your thoughts. If you could, just name and address for record.
Sure. Dan Shop, Bear Development, 4011 80th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Thanks for the time tonight. I really don't have a presentation. I can answer any questions that the board may have. We've reviewed the conditions that were outlined by staff, and we feel we can satisfy all the conditions. Many of them are more procedural.
Just tell us a little bit more about the concept, because it's my understanding that this is one of those deals that came out of some ordinance changes that we made, and you recognize that with a higher density ordinance in place, there's some things that you can do that once again haven't been done before. It's kind of, you're plowing new ground.
That's correct. We've been working with staff for a while now, and they've really challenged us with the ideas of the new ordinance, and we're embracing them, coming up with a development that I think is going to provide a new, a diverse product mix. The home sites are smaller than typical, but I think the design of the subdivision complements the size.
Go ahead, Ron.
Mr. President, as a member of the Planning Commission, again, I'd like to welcome you to the Mount Pleasant and thank you again. And just like the Tivoli Green, the phase 2 that we just approved, and based on the success of the phase 1, this is going to be another quality development in the village of Mount Pleasant. Mixed residential, it has a single family detached homes, and like Sam already, he said that that the phase 2 or the future, the phases will contain another 120 detached house lots, 1 condo lot with 20 duplex, multifamily lot, 2 mixed unit lots, and a business lot. So again, it's another quality mixed use development coming to Mount Pleasant, and like I said, based on the success of the others, I am very confident that the discussion that we have had at the Planning Commission and the detailed plats that we saw is going to be a very quality, high quality development, and we are pleased that you're here.
Thank you very much. We look forward to getting started.
Yeah.
We excused trustee Washburn from this because she's got, somewhat of a material interest in it, but along the way, has she been involved in any of this, concept?
No. I would say we've had conversations as much as we can between our, the relationship between buyer and seller, but this design is our handiwork with the suggestions of the village staff.
Any other thoughts? All right. Thank you, Dan.
All right, take care. Thank you.
So in the matter of the Pike River Crossing plat application, FSP 0122, roll call, please.
Attia,
Aye.
Hewitt,
Aye.
Clausen,
Aye.
Doxy,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye, motion carries. Let's move on to reports. Trustee Clausen.
Well, we're getting into fall. Summer is kind of ebbing, so there are reduced activities. The only thing we have left this week is Animal Crackers concert that we sponsor. And the other thing that is coming up this weekend is the NBT Summer Madness National Tournament. That'll be at Case High School and the Real School. Otherwise, we've got a few activities set up for October, which I'll address next month.
Item 7, announcements, recognition of village residents, employees, memorials, and non-political community events. Anybody got anything? Yeah.
Mr. President, no, I don't have a commentary, but like we talked, the couple of the development that we have approved, I'd like to have this opportunity again to recognize Sam and Robin and our staff, because I think, as I said, even the last time and every time, by the time the plats, the CSM and everything that comes to the Planning Commission, we only see the end product. But you have to appreciate the work that has been done leading up to that. And obviously, this time at the Planning Commission, we had a long discussion about the condition, and so that's a different subject, but I think we have probably one of the best staff that in Sam and Robin and his staff, that what they go through that to make sure that they cross all the T's and dot all the I's and everything. It's a lot of detailed work that by the time it comes to Planning Commission and hands to the board, that it's almost is a kind of the final goal, and I appreciate the work that you guys do.
Kind words for the plan department.
Thank you all.
Anybody else? One last motion.
Mr. President, move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Signify
Aye.
by saying aye. Aye? Aye. We stand adjourned.